So the second step of the sdmx integration consists of integration in mapping assistant software tool. It is realized very similar way that I demonstrated in previous video, where I uploaded when I downloaded the DSD file from the application. I have to again type in the questionnaire ID. I have to choose what I wish to integrate. And then the last thing, I need to set up parameters of the DSD file. I have to choose primary measure, all other data items will be attributes. And then I push integrate into mapping assistant button. As you can see, many things are performed behind. The first thing important is uploading of DSD file. The DSD file is the same file that I demonstrated in previous video. Then there is also created the dataset. Dataset is an object in mapping assistant which contains SQL select statement that is pulling the data that should be exposed to sdmx web service from the dissemination database. And then some organizational things are performed, like creation of category and data flow. And the last important thing is creation of mapping set. Mapping set is object in mapping store which maps the SQL select statement to the content of the DSD file. So now when I start mapping assistant software tool, you can see that in categories and structures, I have one basic category scheme, which is root point for all questionnaire generated from our application. It is named eCollect-X, and under it I can have multiple categories for one questionnaire, and below it are other structures like data flows and mapping sets. So now I want to demonstrate how does the dataset look like. As I already said, dataset is a SQL select statement that is pulling the data that should be exposed to sdmx web service from dissemination database. In our case, it is a eCollect database. I can pull in the data. You can see the results of the SQL select statement. Then the last important thing is mapping set. Mapping set is mapping between DSD file and this SQL select statement. In this part are the columns of the select statement, and in this part are the components of the DSD file. So now when I want to demonstrate that everything is already set up and ready for exposing the data via web service, I use the test client. You can see that this client is touching the mapping store, and it is displaying all the content that is there. So now I can choose the data flow, and I can also generate SQL executed and see the data that will be exposed, and I can run also test of web service. You can see that the data are returned via web service right here. So this is how does the integration with sdmx works. In next videos there will be some demonstration of another features of eCollect-X, like validation engine and other things, so please stay tuned.